Chapter 4 in our Wildy text is called DC generators. And we're going to go through this chapter. And the fact of the matter is, you'll probably never actually put your hands on a DC generator. And there are a lot of reasons for that. And I'm going to go out and outline those for you in just a second. But at the same time, it's really critical to understand how a DC generator works as we move forward in this course next to DC motors, and also understanding electrical machines in general. So let's take a little side trip here. So why study something that we're not actually going to use? Well, several reasons. And the first thing he mentions in discussion here in section 4.0 is that DC generators are not as common as they used to be because of something that we call electronic rectifiers. And what a rectifier does, it takes an AC wave and it rectifies it to a DC signal. So with the widespread use of rectifiers, we don't actually need the DC generator itself to produce the DC voltage or the DC current when we need it. Okay, so that's one thing. But as I say here in number 2, DC operation is still critical, and it's the best place to start to try to understand DC motors and electrical machines in general. It's just the best place to jump in as we begin this sort of journey into understanding and applying these electrical machines. One thing that you'll say first off is, okay, well, why start with DC generators? Why not start with DC motors? And the reason for that is the operation of the DC generator and understanding how it works is important. But the other thing is the DC generator and the DC motor are built the same way. And depending upon whether you supply electrical energy to the machine or you supply mechanical energy to the machine, that depends on how it's going to operate. So if I supply a mechanical energy to a DC generator, I will produce DC voltage, DC current. If I take that same machine and I supply electrical energy to it, then it will output mechanical energy. Okay? So if I put mechanical in and get electrical out, it's a generator. If I put electrical in and get mechanical out, it's a motor. So, just that very concept in itself is important. And then, some of the things that we're going to hit here in this chapter 4, we want to understand what a neutral point is. We want to understand this idea of how voltage is generated. We want to understand this concept of mechanical torque. We want to see how current direction can change and the effect that it has. Something called armature reaction, something called pole tip saturation, something generally called voltage regulation, which is important characteristic for electrical machines, and then generally just understanding how this electrical machine is constructed. All of those will lead us to important things as we move forward in this course and understanding electrical machines.